Now to football, where interesting times, of course, for African football as all 8 teams of the 2023 CAF Women Champions League have been confirmed with different zones from Africa. And of course, the third edition of the tournament will take place in Ivory Coast, 5th to the 19th of November 2023. Now, Egypt hosted the 2021 competition while Morocco welcomed the participants last year. The hosts are using this event to prepare for the upcoming Africa Cup of Nations in January 2024, and the women's football tournament is seen as a way of showcasing the country's state of readiness in infrastructure. The likes of Sundown Ladies of South Africa, as far of Morocco, are only 2 teams who have been ever present since the inception. Now, joining us to talk about teams that have qualified, expectations and projections is a seasoned women football expert, Samuel Ahmadu, joins us all the way from Abuja, Nigeria this evening. Good evening to you, Sam. Welcome to Game On.
Yeah, good evening, Favour. Great to be part of this show, and interesting times talking women's football. It's a women's football week. The Champions League has gone. Now we're also looking forward to the African Women's Cup of Nations qualifiers, which is also happening this week. That's the Women's African Cup of Nations, Morocco 2024.
All right, let's go straight to business. We now have the 8 teams, the 8 clubs that will participate at the third edition of the CAF Women's Champions League in Cote d'Ivoire. Now, I'd like to ask, how would this competition, in terms of this particular one, be different in terms of the other editions we've had? How do you think this would be different considering the number of teams and the debutants we have in this tournament?
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting how we're seeing different new participants, new teams, 5 new teams, and this speaks only about how ambitious many clubs on the continent are becoming. And excitingly, for the first time, we'll be having 2 Moroccan clubs in the finals, and definitely seeing Asfar, who are the defending champions. At the same time, we're also seeing teams like Sporting Casablanca, who have also qualified as the Northern African champions. They won their region, beating the likes of Wadi Degla of Egypt, and also beating the Algerian champions. And so I think it throws some sort of opportunities for some of these clubs, at least showed great potentials in what they do have. And this speaks only about the growing competition in Morocco, and also seeing how best it competes favorably with other regional countries. So I think now we've seen 5 new teams. Atletico FC, they were involved in the WAFU tournament and came third, and the WAFU B tournament and came third. And definitely we'll see them in the finals as host nation. We also seen AS Mande coming back after the appearance in the first edition. We're also seeing Mamelodi Sundowns. They've been consistent.
Okay.
They were former defending champions. Now they'll be coming in as COSAFA champions. So it's exciting numbers we're seeing.
Right.
I think for 8 teams, as much as we're looking forward to an expansion for the moment, this is a very competitive. And from various regions, JKT from Tanzania, this is the return. Instead of having Simba, JKT, a military side, has made it this time around to the final. So it speaks only about also the quality of football in Tanzania, how the game is growing. Simba wasn't where they represented last year. This time around, JKT, and this shows that yes, the growth of women's football in some of this country is incredible, and the investment is also evident to why they have really made such a huge rise.
All right, you've talked about the growth of football in Africa. This brings me to my next question. Now, the first 2 editions was won by Mamelodi Sundowns Ladies and Asfar. That's the UNAF region and the COSAFA region. What are the other continents not doing right? The likes of West Africa, WAFU, the both WAFUs and other regions. What are they not doing right that the North Africans and the South Africans are doing that have seen them win the first 2 editions?
Well, realistically, like I did say earlier, it's investments. You don't achieve success by miracle. And I think this is what these 2 countries, these 2 regions have really done, where you've been seeing the COSAFA tournaments happening consistently. The same thing for the UNIF region, that's Northern African region. They've been busy with under 17, under 20 championship. And these are opportunities, these are competitions that expose some of their local best talents. And you've seen like Morocco, more than quite a number, almost a dozen of players from the Asfar team plays for the national team. They've garnered experience, they've played at the international level, they played at the World Cup, and you can't take that experience, that exposure they've gained from them. And this is showing the deliberate efforts the various federations, the governments of the countries are making, the investment they are making, the interest in the women's game to improve the value and also ensure that yes, they can compete at the top level. So I think the same thing goes to Sundowns. They were they were in the final back, and you're seeing the investment they are making, also making same success on the men's level. So I think it's impressive what we've seen, the investment, the quality of coaching, the quality of support too. They're enjoying it from their various federations, besides just the club itself. So, and these are clubs that are run by they're not government clubs. Sundowns is owned by an individual. The ASFA of Morocco is also owned by the military arm of government in Morocco. So I think this is where you see that they were deliberate about everything they were doing.
All right.
They were really keen about it. And you won't ignore the fact that King Mohammed 5-2 is also an interesting factor in all this. He's a major drive in the growth of women's football in Morocco. And this is why they have achieved huge success in terms of infrastructure and also on and off the pitch.
All right, Sam Ahmadu, wish you could go on and on, but quick one in the space of 20 seconds. Should the teams be increased? Should the tournament be expanded beyond just 8 clubs in Africa?
Well, we look at how we're excited if such opportunity comes, but I think for now, I think it's very competitive now, but we need to encourage the participation at this level. We have a lot of teams competing, and surely we should encourage this, see how this helps us before we think of an expansion. But for me, I think it's still fair we're having this for 1 or 2 editions more before we could think of expansion.
All right, thank you very much, Sam Ahmadu, for really talking about the club sides in Africa and their chances, of course, the CAF Women's Champions League. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a great pleasure.